Phillip can engage with you.
Yeah, that's true. We want to have a cozy tour. Give you my...
Oh, do you want to use this one, or you want me to use it? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I thought with your... I thought that you had your computer here, you were going to make use of your computer.
No. I can't live in the car. There's too many secrets on here. If somebody steals it, I'm in deep trouble.
Yep, I understand. Now this will take a second or two.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay.
Hi everyone, it'll take a second for the computer to warm up. And thanks for coming down the front. And while I'm just doing the admin work for Phillip, I'd like to introduce Phillip Chen from Ford Australasia and
Ford Asia Pacific.
Yeah. And just while so we don't waste time, I'll just start doing this and I'll just welcome Phillip to talk to us about quality in the practical world. So thanks Phillip for coming along.
Thank you. So I was not expecting as many people because Colin tells me students don't like to come to the 9 o'clock lecture. So for me, that's a long time ago, so I can't remember whether I used to not go to lectures at 9 o'clock. But anyway, thank you for coming. So my name is Phillip Chen. I work for Ford Motor Company, Ford Asia Pacific. I've been with the company now 35 years. So if you look at my forehead, there's a Ford oval stamped on it. So if you know that, clearly I'm pro-Ford. I've had my whole career there. So Colin's invited me to come to do 3 sessions with you, 2 of which is product quality, and the 3rd one is mindfulness. Okay? Now, if you want to have a better life after you've graduated, right? Try and wake up in 3 weeks' time to come and learn about mindfulness, because I can, oh God, I don't like to use the word, but I can assure you that somehow, in one way or another, it will change your life. And mindfulness is getting big into businesses too, because we realize that stress and chasing, just success is not quite what we used to think it is. So come and listen to the 3rd lecture. But anyway, all right, so about me. I've been with Ford all my career, 35 years. I've been to almost every department in Ford, in engineering, by the way, in product development. So it's interesting. I haven't been in a job more than about 4 or 5 years. So I'm very broad in terms of my experience, but maybe not so deep. Could be deeper. But nevertheless, I understand quite well how the company works. So what I'd like to probably focus my time on is not so much on the theory and the engineering aspect, because I'm sure the university is pretty good at doing that already. What I'd like to share with you is about we in the real work, in the workplace. What is it like to be an engineer? What is it that we do? How do we think? How do we interact with people? That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of what I'd like to try and share with you is what does the future of the engineering industry look like from a mechanical engineering point of view in Australia, in Asia Pacific, because I actually travel quite a bit. I cover India, China, South Africa. So I've got a fairly broad kind of like exposure. So this is intended to be more kind of like a 2-way traffic, if you like. Please don't just let me talk for the 45 minutes. My throat is going to just get dry. So please do stop me and ask a question, and I'd like to try and share as much as I can for you to give you some sense of what is it like to be in the workplace. All right. Okay. Cool. Do I have a remote
I'm
to
sorry,
move it?
I don't have a remote.
Oh, that's actually, all right, cool.
I can just sit
No,
here.
no,
right?
that's fine. No, 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 it's fine. It's fine. So, in terms of what I'm going to cover, then it's going to be, I call it lectures. Colin called it seminar. I don't know the difference. But anyway, I'm going to have 3 sessions, like I said, this week, next week, and the week after. This week, I'm going to talk broadly about quality. How do we measure quality in Ford, in the automotive industry? And the second week, which is next week, is more about what do we have to do to actually deliver quality to the customer. And the third week is going to be about mindfulness. Okay. All right. Like I say, I wanted to start talking to you about the future of the automotive industry and our key challenges, just to give you a bit of perspective of how I see us going. Clearly, as you know, in Australia, there's no more manufacturing. There's no more automotive manufacturing, which is a shame, really. But there isn't. In fact, we closed shop last year in about, I think it was September. So there's no more manufacturing, what I'll call vehicle manufacturing. There are still quite a number of component manufacturing companies going. Futurist, I think, is one of them. They do seats, quite big. There are also other companies who are making parts for export. But so, unfortunately, in Australia, right now, there's no manufacturing. But in Ford, though, among the 3 companies who were strong here, there was GM, Ford, and Toyota. I think GM still got a very small facility. Toyota has got more kind of an administration facility. In Ford, the engineering actually still being done here in Australia. In fact, the engineering organization is growing in strength. We are something like 1,200, maybe 1,000, 1,200 people in Australia. That includes design, development, and testing in Australia. So it's quite big. But in the way Ford works in Australia and the region, we're very, very connected with China, India, and the US in terms of the engineering. A lot of the engineering that we do, we have to link up. In fact, if we're developing a car here, there are people working on the same car in the same system, actually the same system, some of them in Australia, some of them in China, some of them in India. And there needs to be quite a lot of communication between us to get the product delivered. Typically, it takes about, 3 years. 3 years to deliver a product from inception to job 1, 3 years. Seems a long time, but that's how, it used to be 5 years, by the way. It's now about 3 years. And hopefully I think broadly speaking, in terms of the industry, I think we're trying to cut that down to probably about 18 months, 2 years, something like that. Hopefully not like the clothing industry where people are just wearing clothes for 6 months and chucking it out. But clearly the manufacturer and the technology, I guess, to a certain extent, determine the amount of waste that happens. If we keep on producing new model, people keep on wanting to buy more, and maybe they will chuck, although a car is much more difficult to chuck than clothes. So that's kind of like where we're at in Ford and basically in the industry. But I like to look at that picture. By the way, at the back there, can you hear me? No problem hearing me? Okay. I just like to look at it slightly broader than just automotive industry and what it's about. I'd like to look at it more in the context of the 3 aspects. What does our industry do for society? What is the business implication and the technical implication? It's kind of like how I want to talk about it. Okay, and again, please stop me if you have any question, okay? So from a societal point of view, clearly transportation is going to still be here forever. Anytime, there's society is going to be transportation, CO2 emission. I think if you're not aware of global warming, you're probably not alive. But clearly, pollution, CO2 emission, and the way we're using, our resource is also important. It has an impact on society. Technological development, wow, that's going really big, so fast. I guess in my time, the level of awareness of what's going on around you as an engineer used to be much lower. But nowadays, the technology is moving so much faster that we need to keep abreast of what's going on. And the biggest challenge for us in the automotive industry is actually this thing here. What is it? Where is it? In my pocket, my iPhone. You know, the advent of the iPhone and the personal computer, because people expect in the car now to have all the facility that the phone can supply. That for us is just a big challenge. One of the biggest problems we have in the car at the moment really is how do we connect this to the car in an effective way, and how do we provide some of what this is providing to the customer. The biggest challenge really for me even is basically the navigation system. Once we release the car, right, until you buy a new car, unless you go to your dealer, you don't have an update on the software or the maps. This thing here is updated all the time. Okay, so it's a big challenge for us. I'll be honest with you. For me, I drive a Ford car. It's got navigation, but I very seldom use it. I just use the map in here because it's probably more robust. And that's not just Ford, by the way. It's not just Ford. It's all vehicles. So the whole aspect of where the focus is for us in the automotive industry is shifting. It's more like it's primarily transportation, but also whilst people are using the car, what is it that you need to do to give them access to the rest of the world? Because they like to have access, you know. So that's a big challenge. And in that, there's big problems, especially in terms of quality, because you need to be robust in the sense that people are very non-forgiving. If the system doesn't work, like if I'm using the Bluetooth on a telephone call, if for whatever reason the call gets dropped, okay, and I miss my call, I get really frustrated. I mean, it's not from an engineering point of view. It's, well, I say it's not a big deal. It's probably software, clearly software, right? So I'm a mechanical engineer, right? Software is no big deal, just a few lines of code. But the problem is the amount of frustration that causes is just enormous. So when you think in terms of the magnitude of the effort it takes to design a car in terms of the hardware, right? You know, the software aspect of it is kind of like, you would say, maybe the effort takes a lot of effort to do software, by the way. But the point though here is that the emphasis now in the vehicle is no longer drivability, just drivability, comfort, you know, entertainment system. It's more about how do you connect yourself to the outside world, to the rest of the world. And that's where the challenge is.
The first three you mentioned, is the reason why they're not so important is because they're asymptoting towards the best they can be?
Which three?
Oh, the drivability.
Oh, yeah. Because people come to expect that now. You know, I mean, when you go into the car, I was just going to say even the whole Korean car are getting good now. Because, I mean, like a few years when I used to come here, I used to talk down the Korean car. Oh, my God, what a load of rubbish. You know, the ride is awful, the vehicle dynamics is not so good. But they're improving. You know, they're probably not as good as Ford. Sorry, a bit of advertising. But, you know, people assume it. But also, it's like we're all different in terms of a perception of what's good, what's not good, in terms of, hey, this car, does it feel nice? Does it drive well? Is the ride good, right? Now, we're all different. We've got different level of perception. It's a little bit like, because I've worked in all kinds of aspects of the vehicle. I'm very sensitive to drivability and NVH, noise vibration. I mean, like seatbelt rattling, okay? Yeah? The seatbelt is not resting in the right location. You're driving, it's rattling. That annoys me, because that shouldn't be there, right? Whether you're wearing it or not, shouldn't be rattling. And my wife says, I said to my wife, does that noise annoy you? She says to me, well, what noise? Okay, because to her, it's not a problem, because she doesn't even hear it, okay? It's like, you know, the car's shaking, like I'm thinking, oh my God, this car's pretty old. He says, what do you mean? I don't understand. So, depends. So this is like perception. But let me tell you, when somebody's on the phone disconnects, everybody knows, right? If you want to get access to some information, everybody, and there's certain I mean, this thing is so good that expectation from the customer has been created is so high that now if this does not work through its connection in the car, or the system, the electronic system in the car doesn't deliver to the level of quality and repeatability as this thing do, people just get annoyed. It doesn't matter how good the car is. They get frustrated. So would I, because I'm used to using this thing. So the emphasis needs to change, and this is why quality comes into play, that you need to understand really. All right, I'll ask a question. What is quality? I mean, what is quality? What is quality? What is quality? What is quality? What is, some people talk about quality. What does quality mean to you? Standard, right? It doesn't break, right? What else? Yeah, reliability of it, right? Quality, reliability. It needs to last 10 years, okay? Like my iPhone only lasts, what, 2 years? They probably designed it to last only 2 years, right? In fact, probably the hardware is better, but they screw you up with they screw you up with the software, because once you load the new software on the old phone, it doesn't work, right? It forces you to buy the new phone, so they've got a certain life. So you need to understand reliability, how long. But what else is quality? I mean, what else is quality? Safety. Sorry? Safety, yeah. Safety, right? What else? What else? Why do people like this? Right? When you hold it, it feels right. Yeah? It feels right. It looks good. Right? So quality is not just durability, it's not just reliability, it's not safety. It's much more than that. Quality, when you go and look at something nowadays, quality is about how does it feel, how does it look, how does it sound. So all the functionality, okay, of the product is encapsulated in quality. So quality is not just, oh my God, there you go. You didn't witness this, eh? So if it breaks, now I'm going to take it back. But the point is, even that, right, in terms of quality, right, if I drop this from the top there, okay, and it stopped working, yeah, I would say, okay, yeah, probably too high. But if I drop my phone from here, stop working, I'm going to get cross now, right? I'm thinking, that's stupid. Typically, people will drop their phone. If you're an engineer, you haven't designed a phone for it to be able to withstand this folding like this. You haven't designed quality in it, right? Yeah? But I expect that iPhone has done this. Oh, still working, okay? Right? Now, if you're an engineer, you didn't design quality in it, it will be broken, right? So the question is, how do you define quality? How do you define it in such a way that the customers are not going to come back and say, next time I'm going to buy this stuff. They're going to tell all their friends, next time I'm going to buy this, right? Here's the question. This is what quality is about. It's more than just durability, how long it lasts, including the degradation of the battery, okay? When I buy it, it's like 12 hours. After 3 months, it's only 8 hours. This is not quality. This is rubbish, right? So all of that. Now, let me tell you, iPhones improve a lot. I used to come and complain because my iPhone typically used to last about, 3 months. For every iPhone that I have earned, I've had to take it back to the shop 2-3 times, right? And this is not quality. That's kind of like which is annoying. So it's getting better, but it used to be awful. Sorry, I'm just, and again, let me just say, there's no structure. The material is on your SharePoint. You can go and look it up. I'm just going to, as usual, I'm just going to roam. Whatever comes to my mind that I think is relevant to quality, I'll just give it to you instead of, there's no structure, if you like. You okay with that? Yeah, okay, cool. So that's why, and we'll talk a little bit about the Kano model, is what we're talking about. When people already expect it, there's no point in working on it. All right. But in terms of the implication, though, we as an engineer need to understand that what we're doing in terms of our work has got much more impact than just the gadget working, okay? The gadget working is just one aspect of what we do. We need to be more broad and broad understand what is it that happens out of our job as an engineer. Clearly, it's got some societal implication, okay? It's got some business implication. It's got some implication to people's life, and it's got implication to the profession. All of that thing is important, okay? So technological development, and job and meaningful work. I put that word meaningful. Okay? When I started work, right, I only was interested in the money to get a good life, right? But nowadays, when people go to work, they don't want to be stressed, they don't want to be bored, right? You want to do something that's got meaning in terms of how you want to spend your day, right? So how do you extract meaning in your work? Because it's not just a matter of saying, I mean, it used to be, I remember people say, well, what are you complaining about the work? You 8 hours at work, you get paid for it, right? What are you complaining? We bought 8 hours of your life, just get on with it. Doesn't matter what happened. But nowadays, it's no longer that way, including ourselves, because just going to work to earn the money, to go and have a good time over the weekend is not what people are looking for. We need to find meaning in what we're doing. And we need to understand, as an engineer, what is it that we're doing? What is our role in society? Do you do a subject like engineer's role in society? Something like that? Do you do that?
It's a communication subject.
Yeah.
Does everyone do that?
Yeah. I mean, have you ever thought about, you know, as an engineer, what's your contribution to society? What are you doing engineering for? Is it just like you like gadget? Don't know. Or are you doing this just to earn money? Is it you doing this to earn more stuff, more material stuff? Yeah. Look, initially that's motivation, right? Who's heard of the Maslow hierarchy of needs? No? All right. For people who haven't looked it up, look it up, okay? Basically, you got a pyramid of needs, okay? Initially, you're looking for safety, food, you know, basic, essential. And then as you grow up into the pyramid, when you become like, when you're starting to earn enough money to buy anything you want, when you're able to travel as much as you like, then you say, well, what's next, right? So meaning in what you're doing is important. And let me tell you, I mean, I've started to search for meaning, and that's why I went to mindfulness, by the way. But you guys here at your age can still get a good life, still earn the money, still get the material stuff, but have a connection between why are you an engineer? What contribution are you making to society and community and to the world as an engineer? What is it that you're doing, right? Me, okay, like meaning of an engineer at Ford, we're providing transportation, safe transportation from A to B, right? That's basically what we're doing, right? So that's one kind of thing. You need to have some kind of a meaning in what you're doing. Total silence. Nobody's challenging me saying, this is left-wing rubbish. No? Yeah? Do people understand what I'm talking about here? Yeah? So start now, okay? Don't wait until, like me, when you get midlife crisis. You know, you think, oh my God, I spent all my life working. I've got a house, I've got 2 cars, I've got a family, I can go on holiday. Where do I go from here, right? So start searching for meaning in your job now, and you'll have a better life than I've had. Not that I haven't had a good life, but better than I have, you know? So, and it's not material. It's not material. It's really having the connection as to, as an engineer, what can you do? Can you change and make this world better, okay? And we can. I'll come back to the definition of an engineer, but what do you think the engineers do, by the way? What is our role in society? What are we doing? We're engineers. We're doing stuff. What are we doing? Everything. Yeah, what are you doing? Okay, you're doing everything. What else? Another. What does an engineer do in society? We design stuff, right? We make stuff. We manufacture stuff, right? But for what? Think about it. Okay, let me ask you, why are you doing engineering? To earn money? Okay. No, that's fine. That's cool too. That's what I did, right? And that's one of the purpose, right? Why are you doing engineering?
Enjoy problem solving.
Oh, cool. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Why are you doing engineering? Why are you doing engineering?
I like problem solving. I want to actually sort of feel like you've done something with your life.
Yeah.
You get to the end, you're like, how can I help make that, or help make that better and improve?
Yeah, okay, so start from making money, enjoy solving problem, making life better, right? Now we're going up now in the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I mean, to me, you know what the engineer does, right? Engineers turns dream into reality. Okay? Without engineering, all the ideas that we have in the world cannot be put into practice. Like all the toasters, the car, the telephone will not work without an engineer. The scientists can't do it. So any scientists in the room? That's the scientists can't do it, right? We using science to make a dream a reality. That's what we do, because we need to make it work. Like, we need to produce product that's safe, that's repeatable, that does its function. That's what we do. Now, you start thinking about engineering that way, you have the totally different perspective, right? And included in that, when you think about this way, I'm trying to turn dream into reality. How do I do that in such a way that I make life better for everybody? Quality is it, right? How do I design something that's got quality in it, that it does what I promise people that it will do? Okay? So that's kind of like food for thought. I actually hadn't realized that until very late in my career. And I'll give you one of the definition of what an engineering do in a minute, and it tells you about that. Okay, so that's kind of like the societal implication, and it's very important. Like emission, like in the car, clearly, me as an engineer, if I was working on the emission system or the engine, or even in terms of all aspects of the car, I just want to make sure that whatever I'm designing is using the least amount of material. It has to be done in the most efficient way, in such a way that, you know, the CO2 implication of it is minimized. But you see, if you don't have that in your back of your mind, and you've got pressure of time, pressure of money, okay, you take the shortcut. Okay, you take the easiest way out, because let me tell you, given time and money, you can design and fix everything. And designing something can have different ways of doing it. It's a question of, are you diligent enough to think in the back of your mind that me as an engineer needs to have, as an output of my work, minimum amount of CO2 emission into the atmosphere, minimum amount of material that I'm using, so that the future, the next generation, is no longer without material to use. All of that aspect in the back of your mind. And when you have that kind of focus, then you make the right decision, because every time as an engineer when making a decision, if you don't have that as a background, you'll take the easy way out all the time, okay? And your boss is not going to know, because you're the person who's designing it, right? You could do it 10% more efficient, but driven by your conscience about how to make best use of the resources. If you're not, then you don't even think about it. You just say, okay, it doesn't matter. Let's go. Time is the pressure, but time's not the pressure. There's more stuff. So.
Yeah, Philip, I hope you don't mind me interjecting.
No, sure.
I sometimes, I hope you don't mind, I was talking about similar things to what you just said to the
Yeah.
class, and I just then pause to say that then if you go for quality, you go for the 10% better,
Yeah.
and then you've got to convince the boss.
Yeah.
In your experience, have you got any sort of anecdotes that you could tell us about when you've tried to do the right thing as a designer, as a quality person, and then the accountant says, no, it's going to cost too much? Yeah.
Yeah. But, okay, you know, statistics, you can make statistics say what you like, right? No, I'm not kidding, honestly, right? I mean, the accountant, right, doesn't know how to do engineering, right? How does he know, right? How does he know that this is the best design or this is a compromise design, right? He has to rely on you, right? But really, it's your conviction. It's like, it's your resilience, right? How strong are you to stand by your principle to make sure that you get the best quality, best design, and least impact on the environment, okay? To get the job done at the end, and argue for it, right? Because, you know, I mean, the finance guy, Ford is a finance company, by the way. Money is terrible, you know. We fight the finance department all the time. But it's a question of conviction. The answer is that if you convince you got the right motivation, you'll find a way. Always, you'll find a way. The finance people will put barrier in front of you, but if you're convinced you know what you're doing, because they're not engineers, they don't know, right? You're the only person who knows deep down whether that's the right thing to do. And if you're too soft, you don't care about the environment, you don't care about quality, you don't care about this, you can take shortcut. How do they know?
With that, that's guts.
Yeah, that's motivation. You know, what am I doing this? It's not just for the customer, the quality, right?
I've got something that I think about is fortune favours the brave.
Yeah.
But of course, you can always fall on your face
Yeah.
if you've got someone that's really strong pushing back.
Yeah.
So these young people want to go out.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
How often, what's the worst thing that happens to the engineer that really puts in hard
Yeah.
with a passion
Yeah.
to the system? Do they get sacked? Do they get
No,
promoted?
okay, all right.
Do they
So,
get
so let me maybe answer the question that way, okay? It's very difficult as an engineer to work for an organization who's got no corporate scruples, okay? So if the value of your company, right, it's like food safety, the environment, or some of the stuff is sacred. Now, that's driven on two ways, one of which is the company value. The other one is the fear of being litigated, right? So safety is absolute. You can't have anything that's not safe because the company is going to get sued. But at the end of the day, if you're an engineer, you're working for a company who don't care, then you would know that you're in the wrong place, in the wrong job. There's no alignment in value and what you're trying to achieve in this world, right? So when you come to recognize that, you say, time to move, okay? Not tomorrow, because you still got a livelihood you still got wife and family to feed, but you plot your way to find a company that aligns with your value. That's at the high level. I'm sorry, I'm still staying out of it. But at the low level, it's, look, and again, don't get me wrong, we're not idealistic, okay? We're very pragmatic. You have to be, okay? There's always the business aspect, there's the timing aspect, there's a customer expectation. What I'm saying is come down the end, there's always some kind of a trade-off, okay? And the trade-off could well be that a little bit less quality, a little bit more resources or whatever. But the point I'm trying to say is that if you don't have that in the back of your mind, you won't even think about it. You won't even do the trade-off. You won't even think about, is that the best way I can get the solution? You take the shortcut because you're under time pressure and you stress, right? The business of understanding your role in society takes you a little bit further, if you like, is what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, if timing is, if job one is there, right, you're still doodling. No, can't. You know? And there's the other aspect too, that we're not looking for perfection here, right? All I'm trying to say, in the context of where we are, we need to consider those things in such a way that we get the best outcome, given all the stuff that we are supporting in terms of what is our job, what are we trying to do here. But typically, I think mostly, people are reasonable. But there's deadline, right? I'm not saying, keep on trying to design the best thing, which has got the minimum amount of impact on the environment. No, you can't do that. That's not being practical, right? That's not being practical. But it's a factor that you need to consider, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So the next one is the business aspect of it. So in terms of where the future is, clearly, the industry is trying to provide a product that's wanted by the market. When I say wanted by the market, how do you define what's wanted by the market? How do you define what's wanted in the market?
What do people want?
Yeah, what do people want? Yeah. So that's the most important thing, right? Don't go and design something that's not valued by the customer. So quality is almost a question of understanding what the customer and what the market want. Unless you know what the market is looking for, you might think that you design quality in it. Quality is not that, because that's not what is valued by the customer. It's like my wife, right? She doesn't care about squeak and rattle, right? Now, I'm not suggesting that's not important, but you need to understand what is it, what aspect of the product that you're delivering is valued by the customer, and forget about all the other stuff that you might think is fantastic from a technical engineering point of view, but nobody cares about it, right? So in terms of what the market wants, it's almost a matter of defining the requirement and delivering to that requirement. Whenever there's a gap, big gap between requirement and delivery, that's when you have problem, right? So first thing about quality is to find out and understand very clearly what's important, what's not important, what to focus your attention, because you don't have 100% resources, right? You just need to focus on what's important, yeah? So understanding what the customer wants is important. Yeah, that's the bit I put. Focus on the market, not self. It's not what you think they like, which is important. Look, engineers are very bad typically to call what the customer wants, because engineers are very unique, We're black and white, right? we can't tell what other people are thinking, right? That's the problem with us. We're too black and white. Everything, has got a solution, but humanity is not like that. So it's very important not to believe that you know what the market wants. You need to go and get the marketing department some research, or go and listen, go and hear what other people are wanting instead of you thinking that you know what they want. Because mostly, I would say 70% of the time you'll be wrong. Because we're too black and white. Engineers, we're very smart, but not emotionally smart, maybe I would say that. Emotionally smart, maybe not. We don't really understand people think. So just be careful. Whatever you think may not be right. So focus on the market, on yourself. Stay ahead of the competition. One other ways of working out what your customer wants is really, we spend a lot of time on benchmarking. So looking at what the competitors is doing, especially the high end of the market, because we kind of like 40 is like, middle. We're not low. We're middle ground. We just always look at the, Mercedes, the BMW, the Volvo, the Jaguar. What are they doing? Because they're the leader of the market. They're the one who brings in technology. They are the people who are producing stuff that magazine and newspapers writing about. And the minute that happens, guess what? The likes of us who are driving Ford wants to have it, right? Yeah? Probably about 1 year afterwards, right? 18 months afterwards, or whatever BMW is doing, it's going to come to the market. And you look at the response. It's almost like those luxury companies are doing the market research for us. They at the edge. They're bringing new ground, and we're just sitting there and watching and see whether that's going to work, not work. If it works, we take it. If it doesn't work, it's not valid. Okay. So there's that aspect of it. So it's very important to do benchmarking. Have a look and see what other people are doing. Don't fall into the trap to think that I'm an engineer, I'm smart, I know what's going on. You don't, okay? Because you don't know where the limit is. You need to look at benchmark. So in terms of the business implication, then, China and India, the next supermarket. Well, it's not next. It's happening now, right? China is now probably, I don't know. I think last year or 2 years ago, it became the biggest automotive market in the world. So there's basically, it's almost like China, Europe, North America. I think China is almost as big as North America, I think. It's in the ballpark. Who comes from India? Anybody from India? No? Hey, India. Go home. No, sorry. I'm not being not about immigration, but India is going to be the next biggest growth market. The projection at the moment is that it's going to be, the growth rate is going to be as big as China. I mean, China has been growing the last 30 years, right? And realistically, not much happening in India, unfortunately. Not at that rate anyway. But we're projecting that India is going to be the next growth market. It's a big opportunity, but there's lots of competitors there. Although having said that, I was just looking at the Shanghai Motor Show. My God, number of manufacturers in China is just amazing. The new manufacturers are popping out. Now, I don't know whether that's going to happen in India, but India is a growth market. Different market, by the way. Different at the moment. Very small car, very basic car. And that's the problem we have, by the way. We pick up those luxury cars, we go put them in India, we try and sell it, competing with the low market just does not work. So again, this is a business of understanding quality. What can you get away with, right? There is an Indian manager who keeps on telling us, India is a different market. All these quality things that you think is quality, for them it's not quality. They don't care. Now, that's not looking down on them or anything. It's just the way the market works. It's the expectation of the market, right? Quality, which is essential in this market, is not essential in that market. They don't, So this is kind of like the floating definition of quality, right? Understand your customer. Understand what they want. Because if you don't, then you're going to over-design your product. And you're going to spend a lot of money and you're going to be able to be competitive, right? It's like, example, I was just talking about the rear parking aid. When you reverse, you beep, beep, beep. And if you don't know what it is, you hit the car before you say, oh, what happened? I remember my daughter, first time we used the rear parking aid, she's going, and she hit the car back and says, yeah, but I was hearing that noise. I don't know what it is. Oh, that was the signal telling you that you're going to hit something, right? But here, rear parking aid, right? We typically have 4 sensors at the back. A lot of the manufacturers in Asia, Malaysia, India, some in China just use 2 sensors. Okay, so the zone of coverage is very narrow, right? We use 4, right? And nobody can convince anybody in 4 that we should go down to 2. Not possible, because we're so used to think that we're going to reduce the quality, but everybody else is doing it. Okay, so it's a question of what is it that the customer wants. You need to design for your market.
With like those like developing countries, how do you reduce your quality but like still maintain your brand name? So like.
Yeah, it depends on what the competitor is doing. I mean, Daihatsu, Toyota, Honda, still got a good name. They're using 2 sensors, right? That's what the market wants. We have 6 sensors in the front of the Ranger for parallel parking. And one of the Indian guys who works for me says to me, nobody does parallel parking in India. They park anywhere. Sorry. They just plunk the car anywhere. It's not valued, right? So it's a question of what quality is more customer perception, right? If they don't miss if they don't miss the option or the facility or the engineering feature, they don't care. They don't even know, right? They never use it, right? So it's really competitors driven. You need to understand the market.
How do you go about like understanding whether they want sensors or whether they want like, I don't know, do you compromise on things like, for example, like the amount of airbags in the car and that kind of stuff?
You look at the market. You look at what market is doing, right? That's why the Japanese are so good and the Koreans are so good. They give the customer what they want. Ford says, no, this is our standard. We're not going to deviate from it. Customer benchmarking, the market demands. Airbag. Now, I don't know. Okay, I've been to India a lot, right? I mean, I think the highway at the moment is getting good, right? But mostly in the city, right? It's very slow driving, okay? It's more question more of affordability, right? Do you want the bigger, larger proportion of population to be able to afford to buy a car, or do you put lots of airbag and constrain the number of people who can use the car? What's more important, right? It's always that. It's always what the market wants.
So you talked a bit before about the issue you might face between what your gut feeling is and what people in the finance area want. I just wondering, what is the biggest challenge that you faced with that ethical?
Okay, all right. So ethical. I like the word, right? I like the word. I'm putting conscience in it now. It's not gut feeling, by the way. It's not gut feeling. Engineering is not gut feeling. When I talk about mindfulness, I talk about gut feeling. That's the soft thing. Clearly, you need to have test evidence or reliability or test information. You need to have data to be able to make that decision. But typically, let's say, if you're able to do something a bit better, but the material is a bit more expensive, let's say, right? But it's less toxic, or you can use less of it, or whatever, right? It's kind of a decision that you can make. The finance guy doesn't know, right? He doesn't even know that there's an option between that and that. How does he know? Until you tell him, right? Clearly, you've got a budget to work within, right? And then now you have to find, are you going to go and ask for more money? Or are you going to try and save somewhere else that's not so important to be able to do that bit that you think is ethically right? That's up to you. And people say, oh, no, the company decide. No, who's the company? We are the company, right? Every day, whatever you're deciding, mostly, it's your decision, right? Who knows? If you don't going to tell people, it's right? I mean, tell your boss, whatever, right? But it's the approach, it's the attitude, it's the ethics that the company use to be able to make that decision. And hopefully, you will be working for a company or a boss who's ethical, right? So that's kind of like, yeah, it's never black and white. And there's no gut feeling, by the way. Please, engineering, don't use gut feeling, okay? You're sure you're going to fail, okay? Don't use gut feeling. Say, oh, because of the time, I think that's going to work. No, go and test it, right? Use right. I'm not having gut, by the way. I'm just a word I'm saying, okay? So, when you treat people, then gut feeling, right? When you talk about mindfulness in the third week, come and talk about gut feeling with me, okay?
Look, I just asked.
Yeah.
I know that Europe was trying to introduce standards where the automotive manufacturer had to have a certain level of recyclability.
Yeah.
And
Still.
sense of ownership.
Yeah,
over
still.
vehicles. I don't think the rest of the world is anywhere near that. But be leading the same sort of thing in Australia? I
yeah.
don't think it is.
Yeah, well, it's history now, so we're not manufacturing anymore.
Yeah,
But most of the product that's coming are recyclable. It all needs to be labeled, and it needs to. There's a much more recyclable material. Well, not only in what we produce, but also using, because there's two aspects of it, right? We might not necessarily want to force people to recycle stuff because that's somebody else's. You don't have control of it. But we try to use as much recyclable material in our seat, fabric, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Even though manufacturing in Australia doesn't happen, but still the designers in Australia will specify what will go into the car.
Yeah.
And you know, even things like how it's a dissimilar metal. So
Yeah, exactly.
Taken apart again at the end of the cycle.
Yeah. But look, it's all, again, at the end of the day, it's not the regulations, not rules, it's what people want to do. Right? It's how ethical we are in making sure that happens. The regulation is only there to facilitate our ability to do it. If nobody checks it, nobody's doing it, nothing happens. So hopefully your generation, this generation here, is going to be more ethical and conscience-driven. Yeah? Okay. All right, how are we doing for time? All right, 10 minutes. That's okay. So just have a look in here. This is kind of like in terms of 2000, 2010, 2020. That was just a really showing in terms of the volume where it is going. So if you see that Asia Pacific in the year 2000 was only 20%, in 10 years it's grown to 40%. And in 2020 we're projecting 46% of the total global market. So that's kind of like the shape. Asia Pacific is going to take over, which I think it's already done. Just to give you a bit of the importance of this region, primarily India and China.
Excuse me, is that total? Is that the overall automotive sector or Ford?
No, total. So the future of the automotive industry and key challenges. What is it that we look at? We need to leverage advancement in technology, especially communication and entertainment. We need to look at the development process, how we change that. Efficiency use of our resource, smart solution, renewable energy, keep pace and incorporate other technology in the vehicle. So that's where the technical challenge for us is. I got asked a question, can an engineering student still get a job with Ford and other automotive company? I don't know so much about how much intake Toyota and GM is taking, but definitely Ford, there is a graduate program that we're running. Let me tell you, it's very tough to get in. But yes, the answer is if you're wanting to get a job into Ford, there is a graduate program that runs yearly. I think, again, please don't quote me because I'm not close to it, but I would guess we would take something like maybe 15, 20 students, 30 students, something like that, something that order. But it's very competitive. So if you're interested, go look at it. Can engineers still get a job with Ford and other companies in Australia? Don't know. If only overseas, is foreign language culture essential for success? Culture is a big deal, by the way. You need to understand other people's culture and ability to communicate. So make friends with all the Indian and the Chinese so that you get used to their accent. You get used to some of the words they say. And also, if you want to work in China or India, you got contact. It's very multinational.
Philip, if you don't mind me,
Yep.
I'd love if you'd tie off today's presentation with horns and warning indicators.
Oh yeah. Okay. So again, ability to understand what the customer wants, what people are doing. I think Colin reminded me. There are certain things that is, from a quality, from a reliability point of view, varies from market to market. In terms of horn, for instance, in Australia, when somebody blows its horn, you get upset, right? Nobody uses horn a lot. If you go to Vietnam, China, India, they're always using horn. So if you're an engineer designing for a car that's going to be exported to the market, you need to know, because clearly the durability of the horn and the quality of the horn is important in those markets. In here, the standard that we use to design horn is much lower. In fact, I remember sitting on a committee where there was a horn problem in Vietnam, and we had to do a campaign on it. You know, if it was in Australia, nobody would have even known. You know, it's not a big problem. I think Colin talked about the hazard flasher. Anybody from South Africa? No? Oh yeah, you're from South Africa. Now, when I go to South Africa, I used to go to South Africa a lot, and I must say I was very impressed with people, kind of like when they slow, they actually move even to the emergency lane to let you pass. That's what I noticed. And every time you pass, people will put their flasher to say thank you, right? Now you think, how often do we use flasher, hazard light in Australia? Not a lot, right? Now we export to South Africa. You have the hazard switch, or even the flasher. You think about how many more cycle you need to design those flasher because people use it differently. So you need to be very aware when you're designing for different markets, especially in a global situation, right? That you need to understand, again, what is it that the market is looking for. The other one that was used to kind of like, I used to find funny, I mean, I don't know how many of you drive automatic car, but in here, when I put it in drive, I never change it, very seldom, unless I'm wanting to have manual auto. But you go into Asia, every time they're on traffic light, they go into neutral. Right? Now, you think about the number of additional cycle on that lever chain. So you need to be very mindful and very aware of the different application, different aspect of how each of the customers is using your product. Okay, I'm going to be running out. Colin, if there's any other question, please. But I just wanted to finish off by reading this. So this is what is engineering. Okay, I hope you remember this. And if you haven't got it, go and look at it on the presentation. I'd like you to remember this so that you become more ethical. Okay? According to the Accreditation Board for Engineering Technology, engineering is a profession in which a knowledge of the mathematics or natural science gained by study, experience, and practice is applied with judgment to develop ways to utilize economically the material and forces of nature for the benefit of mankind. Okay? So our job is basically to do that, to make society work better. Okay?
Thank you very much,
Right?
Phillip.
Cool.
Thank you. Thanks for your attendance, and hope you all come again next week.
So next Tuesday we'll talk a bit more about how do you deliver quality. Okay?
That was marvellous, Phillip. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I'll take that off.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm surprised you managed to find the find the file. Sorry? Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. We used to, not anymore. We used to have, kind of like, we used to take,
Ready, Phillip?
Sorry, no.
Oh, wait, oh, sorry.
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 Not really.
because of that 1 year,
Almost.
they counting that people as part of the.
Do you want this computer?
So the
I'll use the Mac, sorry, the PC actually. So.
Okay, so you have to do
I'll
a bit.
log, yeah, I'll log
You have
off.
to do a bit of fiddling. Okay, done. Now you can tell me, do I have to log out completely or?
Yeah, that's, probably a good idea.
help you for
So,
something like this.
will
I'm not
it
aware
log
of
out or
any
does
Yeah.
it shut down?
No, I think you log out.
Having said that, though,
I can just
I do
press the
have
button and they will-
the name of somebody who looks after queries from University Studio. If you go through Colin, and I'll write to Colin to ask me who is that person, and I will send that name of the person back to Colin. Right. Yeah.
So, excuse me, we'll have to go, hopefully the next lecture.
Let's go outside.
Let's go that way.
Do you have my USB? Oh, cool. Oh,
Put your USB in your pocket.
all right, cool.
I've got these two things. You've got your phone?
Yeah, I've got my phone.